Russia's invasion of Ukraine has prompted other countries in the region to consider another big question. Do they need to join NATO? Now, one of them is Finland, where opinion polls show that public support for joining the alliance has actually climbed from 28% back in February to 68% just last month. So let's cross over to the Finnish capital, Helsinki, to speak to Tytti Tuppurainen, Finland's Minister for European Affairs. Minister, now Helsinki has long pursued this policy of military neutrality to avoid conflict with regional powers such as Russia. But we're hearing Finland's Prime Minister saying that everything has changed since Russia's attack on Ukraine. So can you tell us, will Finland be applying for NATO membership?
Well, that's a debate that's ongoing as we speak in our parliament. February 24th changed everything, and now we have to assess the situation, make the necessary decisions. And I believe that our parliament is up to that task, and we will make swift decisions. But Finland has not been neutral. We have been part of the Western sphere since we joined the European Union 1995. We have been military non-allied. And this is an issue that we have to focus at the moment, whether a military alliance could provide the Finns more security.
But can I just press you on this? Are you in talks with Sweden to potentially join NATO? Do you have a date? Because there's so much speculation that you could be making an announcement by next month, by June, in fact. The Swedish newspaper is reporting that Ms Andersson was aiming for membership by the NATO summit in late June. So are you in talks with Sweden? Just to press you a little bit on the potential announcement of a bid.
Well, this whole process runs very fast at the moment, and this has come as no surprise. I mean, for already a long time, Finland has been a very close partner to NATO, and so has Sweden. So we have been as close to NATO as it is possible to be without an actual member. And we've had the option to join the military alliance if we wish to do so. So everything is set up. We can do our decisions. We have the necessary room of maneuver. We are debating at the moment, and we are in very close contact to our Swedish colleagues, yet the process is independent. We are not dependent on one another, even though it would, of course, be favorable to do the decisions at the same time.
So independent decision as and when you take it. And you spoke about the neutrality, or actually you're showing slightly less neutrality by associating with the West. Are you concerned by your government's security report then that warned that any possibility of Finnish membership of NATO could in fact result in increased tensions on the border, the very long border between Finland and Russia?
Well, that's the message that we've heard frequently from Moscow, that they would not be satisfied with NATO enlargement and Finland and Sweden being part of the NATO, but we must be very careful in order not to limit our own room of maneuver because of outside factors. We will do our own decisions regardless of what Vladimir Putin or Kremlin says, and the only reason is our national interest. What is the best option for Finland now that we know what kind of country Russia is and what kind of people Vladimir Putin and his regime are? Vladimir Putin is a ruthless autocrat, and there are no masks anymore. We know what Putin can do. He is targeting civilian victims, casualties in Ukraine, and that is something that we have to take very seriously because Russia is not going to disappear. It is our neighboring country from one day to another. It will be there always, every day we woke up.
Well, let's focus on your neighbouring country, that particular border, that very long border, as I was saying. Now, the US can't confirm this, but there are reports that Russia has started to move military equipment towards the Russian-Finnish border. It's a long border, over 1,000 kilometres, as I say. I wonder, can you in any way confirm whether that is the case, whether you've witnessed or you know of movement of Russian military troops near to your border?
Well, there's a lot of noise in the air, and we must be also very careful in order to avoid any disinformation or conspiracy theories that the Kremlin is actually disputing So at the moment, Russia has amassed its troops in Ukraine, and we don't see any immediate threat against Finland. So we are not afraid at the moment. There is no danger of war in Finland. We are perfectly safe here, but we have to take this changed security situation and changed security landscape very seriously and make our own decisions. And NATO is a very credible security provider, and that is something that we have to take into account. But also the EU is a very valuable security provider, and also the membership in the EU brings us power when it comes to our relationship to Russia.
But just to press you again on that military movement, when it comes to the Kremlin, it has warned that any notions, any suggestions that neighbouring countries could potentially be looking at joining NATO, it would rebalance their relationship. Are you not worried by any indication that you could potentially be joining NATO, that would put your country, your people at risk?
Well, first of all, NATO is not attacking anyone. It is Russia that has attacked Ukraine. Finland is not offensive. We are not going to attack, certainly not Russia. So this is the choice that Russia has made. It has distanced itself from the European security order. And that is the choice that Putin has made, and he is responsible for that. Now, if as a consequence, Finland joins NATO, that is probably something that he did not intend to achieve. But that might happen because Finland, we feel that we have the privilege and the right to make our own choices.
Well, you say making your own choices, but of course we know historically this concept of finlandisation, this process by which a powerful country makes a smaller neighbouring country refrain from opposing its foreign policy rules. And this is something that, of course, stems from Finland's relationship in the Cold War, to become like Finland, to be neutral, to perhaps refrain from making decisions, to not antagonise its more powerful neighbour. So I wonder, just going back to when it comes to joining NATO, inadvertently, is that decision not already made for you? And again, it's like what we're seeing with Ukraine. Has Russia not already influenced Ukraine's foreign policy, foreign ideas, concepts of what it can do by simply stopping it from joining NATO? I wonder, just to press you again, when it comes to joining NATO, do you genuinely have a free hand to make that decision?
That's the very core principle of the European security order, and it also stands in the OSCE principle that each country has her right to make its own security arrangements. And we firmly believe so. And the open doors policy of NATO is crucial for Finland. And we have been repeatedly told that we are welcome and believe so. So we are going to move fast and make our decision. And when it comes to Finlandisation, that is the thing of the past. That is rubbish in nowadays policies. You have seen, we should have seen that appeasement doesn't work with Vladimir Putin. It's no time for compromises anymore. We have to act according to our principles, be proud of our democracy and our liberty and our values, because wars are not only weights on soil, not only in Ukraine, it is also about values. And we Finns, we are ready to defend our freedom and our values, which are also European values, rule of law, human rights and democracy. We are fighting for that. Ukrainians are fighting this very minute for these values.
And I wonder, just when we're looking at what is happening with the gas situation, this concept Poland describing what Russia is doing as blackmail, what's Finland's situation in terms of your gas? Will you be supplying other countries with resources? Will you be also refraining from using supplies from your neighbour?
Well, we have to get rid of fossil fuels, and especially from Russian fossil fuels, as soon as possible. That is what our Prime Minister has said. She has said that we are ready for tougher sanctions and we don't exclude anything. So if it comes to European sanctions against energy, be it oil or gas, Finland is prepared. And gas, it is not very important in our energy mix. It's only 6%, and we are not dependent of Russia, and we have been preparing day and night to get rid of the fossil fuels.